Thank you. This meeting will be recorded, so if you're not comfortable with that, you can go ahead and drop off and you can just check out the link later. But with that, we can go ahead and get started for tonight. So I am going to stop sharing my screen. And I think Shaw is going ahead and sharing. So Shaw is going to be our presenter today. She works with me at Solemn Consulting, and she's actually a strategy consultant. So she is not directly in user experience design, but works in a lot of experience adjacent areas such as customer strategy, agile transformation, and program management. Really, what her job boils down to is helping her clients tell better stories to engage their customers. So something that is definitely very important to consider in the scheme of UX. But today, she's actually here to talk to us about personal branding and establishing your personal brand on social media and how that can be important into just, letting the world know who you are and making connections and furthering your career in the way that you want to. So with that, I will pass it off to Shaw. And if you want to tell us a little bit about yourself and then go ahead and get started.
Thank you so much. And hello, everyone. Happy Tuesday. And thank you so much for attending this session on how to rock your personal brand on social media. My name is Charlene Peng. You can also call me Sha. And like Sarah said, I am a strategy and operations consultant at Slalom Austin. First, I'd like to introduce my background. So I was the social selling lead on IBM's global sales enablement team, where I specialized in social enablement for the IBM sales force in our top 500 client accounts and prioritized white space accounts. So I bring with me over 10 years of experience in digital and social strategy for businesses of all sizes. And for many years, I've trained sales leaders and sales teams in workshops and in one-on-one coaching sessions around social enablement. So I am so excited to be able to extrapolate from all that I've learned on what has worked, what hasn't worked, and share with you here so that you can take these lessons and apply them to your own professional social media profiles. So at any time during this presentation, feel free to ask any questions. To start, please put in chat what you are hoping to gain from this session. For example, is there something that's holding you back from using social media for your professional presence? Is there something you are struggling with? Is there something you are nervous about posting on LinkedIn about? I have chat pulled up here on my screen so I can see everyone's chat while I'm sharing my screen. So would love to hear from you. What are you hoping to gain from this session? I see a funny response in chat. Thank you, Bobby Bishop. Okay, love it. Yes, all kind of points that we'll be hitting in today's session. Awesome. For the purposes of folks listening to the recording, it's how to write content well, how to make a content calendar, what kind of social media you should be focusing on, maybe some do's and don'ts of professional social media profiles, questions around SEO and hashtags, how to get through all the noise of recruiters who are spamming people to have authentic interactions, more on do's and don'ts, and how we deal with different perspectives for different socials. So how much personal to mix with business and social media. All great outcomes that hopefully we'll hit in today's session. And if not, at any time, feel free to ask questions in chat, or at the end, we'll have a Q&A session. Should have plenty of time for that. So feel free to ask your questions and we can workshop them together. So perfect. Thank you so much for those responses. Let's start with, why is social media important for consultants and for UX designers and sort of like anyone in the B2B field and B2C field who needs to use social media for personal branding? So the worst kept secret of the internet is that everyone Googles everyone, including clients and employers. So, how do you curate your personal brand online to truly reflect your authentic self and your professional brand? In this presentation, my goal is to show you 10 realistic steps you can take to do just that, including optimizing your LinkedIn and Twitter profiles. So, is anyone wondering what social selling even means? Like, we have social selling stats here on the screen, but do you wonder what social selling means? Like, give me some emoji reactions, or put in chat if you are wondering what social selling means, or hit the thumbs up if you know what that means. Okay. I love that. I love sharing my concept of social selling with everyone because it's so applicable to us. Okay, so social selling essentially means using your social network to build relationships with your target audience with the long-term end goal of selling something. It can be a product, it can be an engagement, or in most of our cases, it can be selling our personal brand and the idea of our expertise as professionals. Whether you're a consultant, a developer, a designer, the idea is that we're selling our personal brand on these social media platforms where our audiences are. And the idea of that expertise is social eminence. It means being recognized internally within your company or within your business or externally by your social networks for your expertise on social media platforms like LinkedIn. It means you're seen as a subject matter expert, a thought leader, or some sort of voice of authority about a certain topic or industry. Now, all of you have likely heard of influencers. But many of us forget that every single one of us are influencers in our own social circles and our own social network. So the idea of social selling for sellers that I've worked with for years is that online credibility helps them build relationships online and sell their portfolio more effectively. But that idea is transferable to anyone because online eminence is an elite boost for your professional presence and career. I mean, the data from LinkedIn tells us a story we cannot ignore. 31% of B2B professionals say social selling has allowed them to build deeper relationships with clients. 92% of B2B buyers are willing to engage with a sales professional who is a known industry thought leader. And companies with consistent social selling processes are 40% more likely to hit revenue goals than non-social selling companies. And bonus statistic, ever since the pandemic, LinkedIn's usage has soared by more than 85%, and it's just continuing to grow. The opportunity cost of not being where your clients, prospects, prospective employers are is simply too high. So my goal for you today is to have some actions you can take to make a great LinkedIn profile and some meaningful ideas to continue strengthening your social media presence. So how do you get started? The first step to take on your journey to rocking your personal brand on social media is to identify what you want that personal brand to be. Because everything you do and say on social media should reinforce that personal brand. So, to start, ask yourself, what do you want to be known for? What do you want people to think of when they think of your name? Now, we're all multidimensional people with a wealth of experiences and interests, but people cannot realistically remember you for 20 different things you're good at. Instead, they'll remember you for one thing or two things or a maximum of three things. So, with this in mind, I developed a three-pillar approach to help you develop your personal brand. First, what is your industry or technical expertise? Maybe you have experience in the finance or healthcare industry. Maybe you're amazing with all things user research. Maybe you're a UX unicorn who excels at working across projects. We all have something we're really good at. So, what do you want to be known for? Second, which professional development topic are you most interested in? Is it servant leadership? Is it mentoring early career professionals? Is it motivating people? Pick a professional development space you're genuinely interested in so that you can dive deeper into that area and it won't feel like a chore. And that authenticity will come through in your engagement on posts about the topic and the questions you ask and the content that you share about it as well. Third, what are your personal interests? Are you an outdoor enthusiast? Are you an adventurer who loves travel or extreme sports? Building relationships on social media platforms like LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, whatever it is, it means that you need to show you are a real person with real interests. You're not someone who only posts about your company on LinkedIn. You're not someone who only engages with posts about mergers and acquisitions. Build your personality and personal interests into your personal professional brand and own it. For example, I love kickboxing, and I once wrote a LinkedIn article about the parallels between kickboxing and building customer relationships. In another example, I coached a sales leader to tie in his experiences from off-roading into navigating employee engagement during the pandemic. When people Google you, they should find information that reflects your personal brand. In fact, I highly recommend that you set up a Google alert for your name so that you know what's new that's showing up about you online. Okay, so I just gave you a ton of information. It is a tried and tested method that I've workshopped for years with different audiences. So I really want to give you the time and space now for you to think about your answers to some of these questions. So what do you want to be known for? Let's pause for 2 minutes so you can really think about your answers to these questions, and that'll give you the opportunity to get the ball rolling for your personal brand. It's 6:47 Central, so I will continue at 6:49. All right, that was a couple of minutes paused. I answered a couple of great questions from chat. Are there any other questions that anyone would like to ask about step 1 before we move on to step 2?
Would you say that it's important to focus on a specific industry, or if you have a lot of experience designing, maybe someone's worked in healthcare, finance, product, would you pick one, or is it acceptable to, focus on, I'm cross industry, but more of this expertise?
Yeah, definitely. In that example, I would recommend focusing on that expertise and about how agile your skill set is that you can apply it to any industry, versus someone whose experience is like maybe only designing for the healthcare industry and they know all the regulations and the rules that go along with it. Like that could be part of their personal brand versus someone who is industry agnostic but has like a skill set that crosses all. Great question. All right, so let's move on to step 2 for now. If anyone has any other questions, feel free to drop it in chat or ask at the end of the session. Once you have your personal brand in mind, step 2 is to optimize your LinkedIn profile. So let's please post in chat or unmute and say your answer. How often do you use LinkedIn right now? The question is, how often do you use LinkedIn? Oh, we're getting a lot of daily use, hourly use, daily. Awesome. I see. Okay, once a week, in it right now, once a month. I see a good variety weekly. Awesome. Thank you for sharing. So a lot of the time, the question I get asked after the personal brand one is, what are the basics you need to have for your LinkedIn profile? So these are sort of the ground level basics. You should have a LinkedIn cover photo. That's the banner at the top. If you want, this is a great branding opportunity, especially if you're new to establishing your brand on LinkedIn. Don't leave that space empty. Don't let that gray bar be your cover photo. Take that prime real estate and tailor it to your personal brand. For example, a telecoms industry managing director I worked with decided to put a picture he took of the finishing site of the Berlin Marathon. And as part of his personal brand, he wanted to be known for fitness. So that picture was a conversation starter so that he could talk about how much he loved running international marathons. Another example is a consulting leader I coached who put a photo of their personal guitar collection as their LinkedIn banner photo. So they had been lightly engaging with the posts of a C-level exec in a white space account his team was trying to penetrate. And that exec clicked through the consulting leader's LinkedIn profile and saw the photo of his guitar collection. That exec then sent the leader a LinkedIn message saying, "Hey, I noticed the guitars on your LinkedIn. Do you collect? Because I collect guitars too." And that served as an icebreaker. They actually started talking, and the consulting leader ended up winning a $30 million deal down the road just because they broke the ice over guitars. So, besides that, use a professional looking and updated profile photo. This goes without saying, but I like to say it anyway, and avoid obvious selfies or blurry images or pictures with other people. You should also update your LinkedIn profile at least once a year. A good reminder to do it is when you do annual performance reviews so that you can document accomplishments that you've had that year. Updated LinkedIn profiles are 5 times more likely to receive messages and connection requests because you rise up in the algorithm. And lastly, if you don't already have a custom LinkedIn URL, you can do that in under a minute. Go to LinkedIn, click on your profile, click on edit public profile and URL. I recommend using your full name, but if it isn't available, then use a nickname that looks as professional as possible or add a couple of numbers. So those are the LinkedIn ground level basics. And then next, I want to talk about Twitter. So this isn't as popular among the audiences that I've talked to. The only reason I include this step is really just to cover your bases when someone Googles you, and so that someone else doesn't take your Twitter handle or your full name as your Twitter. So my first question for you here is, how often do you use Twitter? Please post your answer in chat. I'm actually really curious here what the answers will be. How often do you use Twitter? Very rarely, never, some people every day. Okay, we're getting some everydays. Read it a lot. Okay, I see the variety. Now, I personally don't post a lot on Twitter, but I use it a lot to research specific topics, industries, or clients to see what's trending or what people are saying, especially in an industry where my clients are. But even if I don't post often, I know that I need to have a basic Twitter profile optimized so that when someone Googles me, they can find my profile and my personal brand. The reality is that Twitter is a more high maintenance platform. So in my social enablement coaching with these very, very busy sellers and executives, I know they realistically won't have time to really keep up with Twitter. So I typically prioritize LinkedIn when it comes to how much time someone should spend on social media for professional reasons. Of course, if you have a genuine interest and passion in using Twitter more robustly, absolutely go for it. But since most people won't take that route, here are some realistic steps the majority of us can take to optimize our Twitter profile, even if you don't plan to be very active on Twitter. So first, use your real name and photo, and where it says website URL, you should redirect that to your LinkedIn profile unless you have a personal website or portfolio that you want to showcase. And then in your Twitter bio, include hashtags and mentions so that people can find you through those hashtags. For example, Antran's personal brand is a social media influence and speaker. So she uses hashtags, social media, and other hashtags that reinforce what she wants to be known for. Next, prepare your mise en place. Just like in the kitchen, you want to prepare all the ingredients so you can cook dinner more easily. This is a total shortcut. You can use Twitter hashtags to research this information. So I recommend following 5 influencers in topics your personal brand involves. Follow 5 clients or prospects so you know what they're saying on Twitter, and follow 5 leaders or mentors so that you have some people in your social network. Now, with that, you have already a basic but pretty curated Twitter newsfeed that will make it easier for you to retweet content when you want to. To start off, though, if you have a blank Twitter profile or you're starting it for the first time or it hasn't had an update in like 10 years, go ahead and reshare like 5 to 10 tweets from them. The reason is so that when someone comes to your Twitter profile, there's at least some content there already that reinforces the personal brand that you've decided you want to establish. Lastly, schedule time on your calendar to check in on Twitter at least once a month. Make sure there aren't DMs from an influencer or prospective client that goes unanswered. Maybe reshare a couple of tweets that interest you or post some tweets yourself. Now, as the social media landscape changes, Twitter may not always be the platform that is popular, that, results in SEO rankings. I know LinkedIn is right now, but this slide really is for like the other popular corporate use platform. I know there was a comment about Mastodon in the chat. A lot of folks are switching to it. It's not mainstream enough yet in the corporate world and audience that I speak to that it's that to replace this step 3, but absolute potential for it to happen in the future. So great content there. I'm glad someone brought it up. And as for step 4, kind of turning back to LinkedIn now, let's talk about your LinkedIn network. The gold mine of LinkedIn is really the network. So when was the last time you sent someone a LinkedIn connection request? I would love to see your answer in chat. Thanks, Bobby. Yeah, when was the last time you sent someone a LinkedIn connection request? Okay, I see a good variety there as well. Really active LinkedIn users in this audience. I love it. Your goal should be to develop at least 500 high quality connections on LinkedIn. You really want to cultivate a network of peers, clients, thought leaders, influencers, and current or future decision makers among your target audience. So ask yourself, who is your target audience? Then curate that network. Connect with people and follow some people who might not be appropriate for you to connect with yet. My favorite tip here is to review your My Network tab once a week. This is what my tab shows me. People I may know from Slalom or USC, people with similar roles or backgrounds as me, people in Austin, and it also suggests more people I should follow based on my network's interests. And it suggests LinkedIn groups I may be interested in joining. It's really important to make decisions based on the information in your My Network tab because it informs LinkedIn's algorithm to make smarter recommendations for you. So why not use LinkedIn's machine learning to further your personal branding goals? And if you want to accelerate your network building, instead of waiting to do this once a week, you can also search for connections based on keywords, industries, locations, companies, etc. A couple of final thoughts I have for this step is that it's okay not to accept every connection request you receive. They won't be notified if you decline, and you should only accept connection requests that are relevant to your goals. And when you're sending a connection request, if it's not someone you're already somewhat familiar with, like a peer or someone you met at an event, then always add a personalized note. That way, you're not sort of like cold calling them on LinkedIn. You should introduce yourself and give some context to why you're adding them. You can even mention something you may have in common. Maybe there's an icebreaker on their profile, like the guitar collector story I shared earlier. So that's step 4. Step 5 is to use search engine optimization to brand your LinkedIn profile. So 3 parts of LinkedIn are search engine optimized within LinkedIn search functions. That's the headline, the about, and the work experience sections. They can be maximized for your personal brand. So in the past, people only use the LinkedIn headline section for their job titles, but now you can use those 120 characters to brand yourself. For example, Harriet Green is one of LinkedIn's top influencers, and she uses the headline section to say, global business leader, executive chair of Mission Beyond, board member, influencer and mentor, diversity and inclusion activist. Very quickly, from looking at her headline, you can tell exactly what she wants to be known for. As for the about section, this is basically a short summary or bio. Typically, I advise people to write in first person and tell your story. Think of this like your 30-second elevator pitch. For example, Harriet starts her about section with 3 passions have shaped my journey as a business leader over the last 3 decades. And then it brings you into her career journey. Now, for the work experience section, many people list their jobs, but not what they've done in those jobs. You should add at least a couple of sentences under each relevant position you've held, describing what you did and, if possible, the impact or outcomes of your work. Here, you should include keywords that are relevant for your personal brand. This is especially where you want your technical or industry expertise to shine. So we're halfway through the steps. I'm going to pause if anyone has any verbal questions to add at this point before we move on to step 6. All right, I have a personal rule that I wait 7 seconds whenever I ask if there are any questions, usually on client calls or work calls, especially someone almost always unmutes at that like 7th second. So onward to step 6. Power up your profile with information that validates your brand, like credentials and recommendations. It's one thing for you to say you're an expert in something or say you're passionate about a certain topic. But as with all storytelling, show, don't tell. One effective way to show you're all the things you say you are is to get recommendations from a diverse network, internal to your company or workplace, external, peers, mentors, leaders, mentees. When you send a recommendation request, you can actually specify what you want the person to write about. And I would encourage you to point them to at least one pillar of your personal brand. Equally important is that you give recommendations, preferably to different people than you ask for recommendations from. And when people look at your profile and see the recommendations you've given to other people, they can quickly see what your values are because you're acknowledging and praising that in other people. Another way to show, don't tell, is to display your certifications, your badges, your portfolio, any sort of deliverables or visuals that you can show. And if you win any awards, you get featured publicly, you do any speaking engagements, you can display those in the featured section of your LinkedIn profile. It's basically like a highlight reel that people can scroll through, and it's near the top of your LinkedIn profile. So it's a great section to highlight information. Now, along the same lines of show, don't tell, is step 7, develop a content game plan. Now, I saw a few of you mention wanting to understand content better as part of your goals for today's session. So I really want to say that everything you do and say on social media, all the content you put out there or interact with, everything should reinforce your personal brand. A question I get asked a lot is, how do I know if I should post this piece of content? My answer is almost always to look at this litmus test. Does the content reinforce your personal brand? Is it newsworthy or thought leadership? Does it convey your point of view when you add a caption or commentary to go with it? If you cannot answer yes to at least one of these questions, then usually my suggestion is to say don't post it. There's already so much content and so much noise out there. Your time would be better spent engaging with your target audience's content. Now, when you do answer yes to at least one of these three questions, and when you post fresh content, because of course you should post content that answers yes, you can do this through LinkedIn status updates, LinkedIn Pulse articles, which is a great and free way to establish thought leadership. There are also LinkedIn groups where you can find focused conversation around a certain topic or expertise area. Groups can be a great place to build targeted relationships. And if you're using Twitter, then you can post or reshare tweets. Now, because we had a couple of folks mention content as one of your key goals for today, I'd like to pause here and give you the space to ask any questions if you have any right now for step 7.
It looks like there was a question in the chat, Shaw, about the last step, about when you're talking about recommendations. Is it bad for the recommendations to be given within the same month?
Oh, not at all. You can absolutely get recommendations. You can get like 7 recommendations this week and it would be totally fine. Good point, Jasmine, about endorsement for skills. That's also helpful. All right, so let's go on to step 8. While we're on the subject of content, a really quick way to customize the content you see on your LinkedIn newsfeed is to follow some hashtags. Do you follow hashtags on LinkedIn right now? Please post your answer in chat. I'm really curious how many of you are following hashtags. I see a lot of yes. Usually with my audiences, I get a lot of no's, didn't know that was possible, didn't know that was a thing. Oh, I see some varied answers. Okay, so from today onwards, you can follow hashtags on LinkedIn. Experiment and look for hashtags that are popular and related to your personal brand. For example, you can use hashtag interaction design and see the different associated hashtags that may appear on those same posts, which can show you what other hashtags are related to the topic you're interested in, what hashtags people are using. Now, with this super custom content that's now being delivered to your newsfeed, it makes it a lot easier for you to engage with relevant content and reshare content that reinforces your personal brand. Now, step 9, this is my dog, Harley Quinn. She is a Great Dane, and she's here to help you to remember to be curious, because step 9 is about the rules of engagement on social media. To rise up in the ranks of engagement on social, 80% of the time, the time that you spend on professional social media should be spent engaging with your target audience's content on your newsfeed. You should actually only spend 20% of that time actually posting your own content or sharing content. The truth is that people like people who show an interest in them. So figure out who your target audience is, like their posts, comment on their posts and articles. And if you're not sure what to comment, my rule of thumb is to ask a question. So remember, 80% of your time on professional social media is for engaging with your audience. So be curious like Harley and genuinely pay attention to what people are saying, because that is a surefire way to build authentic relationships. I see a question in chat about the previous step, which was, should we limit the number of hashtags we follow? I would say there's no reason to, unless you feel like your newsfeed is getting way too cluttered. I'd start big, and like if you have 10 hashtags you want to follow, go ahead, and then you can always unfollow anything that isn't useful after. Another question, what's the general consensus on posts that ask to like or celebrate based on two design-based photos? Is it a genuine way to get engagement? I'm not sure if this is a design-based question, but if there is a post that asks to like or celebrate, oh, like choosing between two photos. Okay, I'd say it could be cool. Could be a cool way to get your audience's feedback right away on which post gets more votes in a way. But I don't know if it's something that I would personally use more than like once or twice consistently. So another question, should we be worried about liking or interacting with posts that are controversial in case a potential employer might see that? I'd say it really depends on the industry you're in, the type of work you have. If you have really conservative clients, for example, in an industry that has a lot of regulations and you're under a higher degree of scrutiny, then I would personally be more cautious about the type of content I'm associated with on public social media like LinkedIn. But I think you can trust your judgment, like, sort of ask yourself, like, would you be okay with whatever your interaction is being screenshotted and blasted on like the front page of Reddit or something like that? If you're comfortable with that, then it's cool. But if they're not, then maybe ask yourself, why aren't you comfortable with that? Okay, let's see. All right, step 10, the final step. Regularly check your LinkedIn Social Selling Index or SSI score. Now, have you heard of the SSI score before? Hit that thumbs up button if you have, or put it in chat. Really curious how many folks. I'm getting a lot of no's, so I'm happy to be able to show you a free resource you can use here. So this is a great way to keep track of where LinkedIn's algorithm is tracking your progress. Generally, an SSI score over 70 is good and over 75 is great. I'll be honest, it's not easy to get above 75. Only when I cracked the code to social selling and got into the habit of using LinkedIn strategically for my personal brand did I see my score go up to the 77 that you see in this screenshot. So it's worked for the sellers I've coached. It's worked for myself. I've been invited to speaking engagements, guest lectures about the topics that I'm passionate about, recruited for multiple jobs consistently. The SSI score essentially measures how well you're establishing an effective brand, how robust your LinkedIn connection game plan is, how effectively you're engaging, and it even measures how strong the relationships are that you're building in terms of LinkedIn engagement. So in my opinion, today is a great day for you to go to that URL and see where you're at to establish your baseline. And then any progress is good progress. And it's really cool to be able to see your progress over time and see which areas you're improving in based on LinkedIn's algorithm and which areas you have room to explore more. So any questions about the LinkedIn SSI score before I go on to my closing statement? Also going to drop the link in chat because it's not super easy to Google for it, but the URL is fairly easy to remember. Yep, make the numbers go up. It's linkedin.com/sales/SSI. Don't be discouraged by whatever number you see today because the only way is up. All right, so let's wrap up the story where we began. Everyone Googles everyone. So curate your personal brand online to truly reflect your authentic self and your professional expertise. And what are the 10 steps to get there? Before you do anything else, take the time to identify your personal brand. Then optimize your LinkedIn and or Twitter profiles or whatever social media platform is most applicable for your goals. Curate your network so that you're reaching the right people. Make sure people outside your network can find your LinkedIn profile through SEO. And when they've found you, show Don't tell them what your brand is. Power up your profile with information that validates your brand, like credentials and recommendations. Develop your content game plan. Use hashtags to subscribe to personalized content for your brand. Remember to be curious, like Harley, because engagement is 80% of the game on social media. And how do you know what you're doing is working? Track your LinkedIn SSI score for free because it will show you where you're gaining momentum and where you still have room for improvement. Lastly, if you are scared or worried about using social media for your professional brand, especially if it's not something that you currently use actively, I have to end on this note. I have this life slogan, Moomba. It stands for my only obstacle may be attitude. LinkedIn isn't just for looking for a new job. Twitter isn't just for pop culture memes. These are social media platforms that can help you achieve your professional and even revenue goals. They help further your personal brand. Now, you have the steps you need to rock your personal brand on social media. With that, thank you so much for listening. We have some time now for Q&A. Are there any questions? Q&A slide.
I know we're past your 7-second shot. Are you sure no one has any questions for Sha while she's here? Someone commented, my biggest challenge with LinkedIn is that I get contacted by recruiters who haven't taken the time to understand my expertise. It sounds like developing your personal brand and making sure it's known kind of what you're looking for would help with that. Sha, do you have any advice there?
Yeah, absolutely. So there are a lot of recruiters and sort of like third-party agencies that will, kind of, for lack of a better term, like spray and pray on LinkedIn. So the more you cultivate your brand visibly on LinkedIn and have SEO that is tailored towards the types of jobs you want to be recruited for, the higher quality of recruiters will be contacting you in your inbox. That's not to say that you won't still get spammed by recruiters who have not even looked at your entire profile, but there will be more quality among the recruiters contacting you. So that's a great question. What is the right way to handle those interactions? Depending on how spammy these recruiters are, I guess I have like a personal spam index level where I assess, very spammy, totally didn't read my profile. I will ignore those recruiters. And then the ones who are like, fairly well written, but not the right fit or the types of roles I like, I'll reply saying like, thank you so much for reaching out. I'm not currently interested in this role. I'll keep your contact information or let's connect in case this changes in the future. So use your judgment on like how polite you want to be, but it's also absolutely okay to ignore anyone that's irrelevant for you. Who are some people you recommend to, another question in chat is, who are some people you recommend to follow on LinkedIn? It depends on your goals, but if you're looking for example, like influencers to model your LinkedIn improvement after, then I really like influencers like Adam Grant. Actually, let me see if I have some of those slides up here. I really like Harriet Green, also Antron for Twitter, but Adam Grant for LinkedIn. And there's many more, many more LinkedIn influencers who have really good profiles and really good presence, that I like seeing how they're using LinkedIn and what trends they're following, because LinkedIn features change all the time as well. But depending on sort of your field and your space, you'd likely want to follow someone who's actually in the same space that you are. Like I'll follow consulting leaders, I'll follow digital marketing leaders, people who are sort of like in the industries that I play in. And for UX design would likely be UX design or different subspaces under that. Another question is, what are some ways to learn about my personal brand? Going to try asking coworkers what they think it is. That's a great idea on that's a great idea for how you want to explore your personal brand. I typically have done sort of like 30-minute workshops with sales leaders or execs that I'm coaching on to help them figure out what their personal brand is. I'll ask them questions like, okay, tell me about your career. What kind of work have you done? And I'll try to elicit out, and you can do this on your own too, right? Just asking yourself these self-reflection questions. For the first question, I like to ask like, tell me about your career. What kind of work have you done? What kind of clients have you worked with? Now, out of those, which ones have excited you? Which industries do you want to lean into? Or what kind of technical expertise do you have that you really are proud of, passionate about, really want to make part of your personal brand? In terms of professional development topic, there's so many, and we're likely passionate about at least one topic, whether it's work-life balance, mental health awareness. There's so many things that you can ask yourself. What do you care about? What do you want to engage in? What do you want to be known for? And then personal interests. I think that one's probably the easiest one because almost everyone has a hobby that you're excited to talk about. Another question is, if you were to get LinkedIn Premium for 1 to 2 months, how may your branding strategy change or increase over those months? I have personally never activated that free month of LinkedIn Premium, and I've never had to suggest for anyone to do that as well. Typically, LinkedIn Premium is for like hardcore accelerated job seeking, or you're trying to investigate a certain network rabbit hole for like a sales pursuit, or you're trying to use it for a very specific purpose. So for general personal branding, you don't need LinkedIn Premium. These 10 steps and tracking your LinkedIn SSI score, this will work. It's worked for so many people, from people who are completely not familiar with LinkedIn, people of all ages and backgrounds. So I don't think it's necessary to pay for LinkedIn Premium, but if you were to get a free trial, then I would have a very specific goal you want to accomplish. Maybe there's a dream company you want to join, and you want to see who in your network has first or second degree connections that you want to be introduced to. Another question that's come in is, my current job is not in the industry I'm working on joining, so my LinkedIn SSI industry doesn't recognize me for my intended industry. Will this impact my visibility in my desired field? If the content that you're sharing is relevant to the industry that you want to join, then that works, right? Because you'll basically be telling LinkedIn, hey, I'm interested in this industry instead. I'm going to be connecting with people in that industry. My networking, my content, my engagement is all going to be around that target industry. So there won't be negative impact there. Another question, I have good numbers for people viewing my profile, but not valuable interactions like conversations about open jobs. Do you mean not getting recruited for those roles? That was a follow-up question from me there. Oh, so maybe it could be a question of SEO, take a look at your profile and see, do you have the right keywords that are being searched for those jobs that you want to be recruited for? Are you displaying the type of content in your highlight reel, maybe portfolio content or thought leadership, your opinions, your point of view about things that are relevant and can get higher engagement to help you rise up in the algorithm.
I also want to add too, if you're actively looking for a role, make sure that's reflected on your LinkedIn profile. So you can set your LinkedIn to show that you're looking for a role. And only recruiters will be able to see that. So you don't have to worry about like your manager seeing it if you feel uncomfortable, you're not ready to have that conversation yet. But that lets people know that you are open to work. And so some of that can help drive those conversations as well.
Great tip there from Sarah. Another question that's come in is, how do you make your name and website searchable on Google? So in terms of your name, if you have LinkedIn presence, Twitter presence, website presence, as long as your name and relevant content show like it is tied to the search results you want, then you'll show up. For example, let's say it's me. Let's say Charlene Peng, I want to be known for digital marketing. Then I could create a website about digital marketing and share my thought leadership there, or portfolio there, or just, brand that on my LinkedIn profile, and that would show up on Google. In terms of your website searchability, there's a whole rabbit hole of website SEO that you can look into. But essentially, you need to make sure your website title, URL, meta tags, like all those things reflect all the keywords that you want to be associated with people's searches so that you pop up in the search results. And if it's a really popular, concentrated field, then it will be more competitive to show up in those search results. So sometimes it may require, ads, basically paid searches. Just depends on the scenario. Another question that's come in is, if you are career switching, how do you go about using LinkedIn? It's an interesting question because my partner actually is doing career switching, spent his life in sort of accounting and is now pivoting to software engineering. So, we workshopped a story to write in his about section about how he spent his life doing like customer service and accounting, and it's like taking a risk and like pursuing a new adventure and like switching to software engineering. So all his like keywords and headline and sort of like the SEO that's involved in his LinkedIn profile is now switched to his new field instead. So I would just make sure the content you're engaging with, the keywords, emphasizing the transferable skills in your previous work experience so that it's applicable to your new career. All right. Those are the questions that are coming in chat so far. We have 2 minutes left. Thank you for all those great questions, by the way.
All right. Does anyone have anything else for Sha before we wrap up?
I will absolutely tell my dog she is a good girl.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Sha. This was really great. I know I definitely learned a lot. Really appreciate you being here and sharing your expertise with us. For everyone else, like I mentioned before, feel free to join the Slack channel. Keep the conversation going. Cindy's dropped the link in the chat a couple of times now. So feel free to join us and keep your eyes out for an invitation to February's event. But thanks so much, everyone, and thanks, Sha.
Thank you, Sha. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.
Have a good night.